All right. I'll make my way right up to the front. I'll see you in a minute. All right. How am I here? Do I in the frame?
Oh yeah, you come a little, just a little
Can you
closer.
see me in the light okay?
Yeah,
Maybe
come
come a
on.
little closer to me, or-
Yeah, you can
See
come
me
closer.
all right?
Yeah, I can see you all right.
It's okay?
Yep.
Well, hello, everybody. Again, my name is Gautheir. I'm the gallery director here at the Alliance for the Arts in Fort Myers, Florida. And we've got 3 artists for this exhibition for this month in February titled Crossroads. And we've got the ball decal brilliantly displayed here, having a little fun with where these artists intersect. 3 very different approaches to sort of similar solutions to very different problems, all working in their own way through their own practice and their own sense of self-discovery, and which motivates and inspires them. So we're going to walk you through, again, through some of those pieces tonight. The 3 artists who are exhibiting here is Julie Gautheir and Jeff Hamel and Kristen Herzog. So each one of their works we're going to show you in detail tonight, and we'll hear from 2 of the artists, Julie and Chris. Jeff, unfortunately, he's unable to be with us. He is, again, he's a working artist, and he was unable to get out of a commitment for tonight, so he's out working tirelessly on the road here so he is a transport driver. So I'll tell you a little bit, and it'll make a little more sense when we look at his work. So we're going to do a separate talk with him later in the month, and you'll be able to get some more feedback and more perspective from his work. But I'd be happy to guide you through that tonight. So just to get you familiarized with sort of the concept of this exhibit, again, we talked that all these artists are coming from 3 very different perspectives, but the work, I think, unites very well. It's concise, it's cohesive, they blend and feed off each other, they enrich each other in very unique ways. And it's been a real pleasure to have the work in the gallery and see it up on the wall from these, looking through images and stills. So each of these journeys explores all of the different possibilities found in symbolism, observation, and experimentation in a unique way. So let's get started and let's take a look at some of the work here on this side. As we take a look at the first collection here that we're going to talk about tonight. And so we've got 2 paintings on the back wall here with one of Julie's sculptures centered in between them. And you notice that we've got some very stark differences with aesthetics, right? The very stark contrast with the line quality. You've got the geometric series, number 4 and number 22 of Chris Herzog's. So contrasting against, this is Pistache by Julie. And these, you notice the colors unify. They have similar palettes that relate and connect to one another. I really enjoy these pedestals that are fabricated by Julie that illuminate the work from below. So you've got this glass top here that's creating some light coming from underneath and illuminating this molten glass that's suspended down as sort of tentacle-like protrusions and sort of appendages here that are supporting it up so delicately, ever so delicately, install these works. And it was a great pleasure to see them lit up and amongst the other pieces. So here behind Julie's work, Chris's abstractions, right? We've got a lot of different textures, this process that she's working with and working through, that process of discovery. A lot of her work is about that. But the way that she composes the images, the way that they evolve over time, for her is a lot about discovery along the way. And you can see that evidence of retraction, of addition, and push and pull to find and let that image evolve and emerge for what it's going to become. Beautiful textures, these natural found objects, these sort of scratchy textures that are inside these geometric shapes. And the way that these shapes, we're going to see how they relate to some of Jeff's work. Follow me over here. And we'll center in front of this very large piece. All of Jeff's works are very large in this space. And notice the comparison of the line work and the composition. This is what sort of the relationship that we're trying to bring together, these crossroads of intersecting elements, of these subtle differences with the work that are coming at totally different angles and perspectives for the process of making art, the intention behind it, the concepts. The way that they unite and bridge the gaps between these two approaches, I think is beautiful and sort of an evolution and a joy to discover. You're immediately greeted with Jeff's work through a sort of a battlefield. It welcomes you into a sort of state of conflict. These are very strongly based in observational drawing as a medium and a tradition, but also observation as a spiritual and emotional practice to reflect inside of ourselves and to just take time to be still and observe nature, human man-made elements throughout our daily lives. He's got some interesting things that I'll touch on later that really resonate, I think, with a lot of us who, especially artists, that will find themselves dazing off and appreciating something very simple and beautiful and really trying to reflect on what that means. So there's some very stark compositional relationships that tie together. Again, you've got beautiful greens and neons that tie back into Julie's organic forms. Those organic forms could easily swim their way into some of these paintings. So some of the very distant themes and approaches to this, the mediums themselves, Jeff's work is a combination of several long list of media from drawing, traditional drawing, pastel, soft pastel, oil pastel, colored pencil, graphite, editing, and acrylic and oil paint. So nothing is off limit for Jeff. And the way that these are also mounted on paper. So this is a very large piece of paper, as you can imagine. It's mounted onto a panel. So you have this soft textures contrasting against some of Chris's more hard lines, acrylic on canvas, and then Julie's very delicate glass works. And we're going to take a look at some of the other pieces here. We've got a range of works from Kristen. So the way that sort of with Chris's work to evolve and connect some of these gaps, right? Chris has been a lifelong artist, a long career, and evolved throughout that time to create a lot of different styles and mediums, but still uniting in the same sort of approach, the same essence of the moment, of the joy and pleasure with the evolving image and discovery. There's a lot of hidden things that I found when you get the right angle here, the iridescent paints that are somewhat subtly hidden under the surface. So not only is the practice of making this a sense of discovery, but also viewing it, which reinforces itself with a really beautiful experience. Again, another of Julie's works. This is apricot, and just a beautiful, rich color with the red glass. This amber colored, oozing upwards and downwards throughout the form. The way that light illuminates it from underneath is just unmatched. It's just really beautiful. The way that it examines from the top is doubled from underneath, but we'll show you some other examples when we get some of the stills, but just beautiful. Beautiful work, and the relationship between the pedestal and the artwork is also very well thought out. So let's take a walk around here. We'll head this way, come around through. So we've got the floating wall here, and the and the collection of the other works on this back wall. In trying to break up the space as well, to give some moments of reflection, to come through and be able to experience this work. The scale of Jeff's work alone is astonishing. I mean, it stops you in your tracks, it seizes you, and it really makes you sort of want to take a look and experience it. But there's also a lot of hidden precious moments within these paintings, and also just behind me here, one of the smaller works in the exhibit, this Sunshine Garden by Chris Herzog. This painting is a lot about that moment that Chris works with, is that moment of beauty, that backlit, the explosion of light, the joy of making, the techniques, the different textures that are popping out of that canvas. And as we come around the corner here, we've got another collection of the blue series here, just elegantly composed. Again, the way that these natural forms sort of coalesce, the build up of some of the way that this glass drips and moves really opens up for a lot of different experiences. This is very much more condensed, where we've got thicker strands of glass that are sort of create more space and light in between, and just the color variations within them. And then we transition into another hard edge abstraction with beautiful masking and opaque paints layered on top, just layer upon layer, the evolution of that image, scratching, erasing, building back up. And then we'll keep coming on here. We have a multifaceted venue here. We've got some youth performance going on tonight, and they're dressing. So it should be an exciting show. I've heard lots of good things. Back into another one of Jeff's work. So the color, the contrast, the energy that is found with the geysers and the springs, the boiling hot waters, the neon green colors and vibrations that are happening, contrasting against the hard edge, the compositional, the linear elements that tie it back and forth. And this is another one of a more botanical piece of Chris's that again reflects some of the waving lines of Julie's organic forms, the way that the light shines from behind and emanates throughout the work, I think ties really well back to Julie's pieces again. And so I'll take a step back. You can get a sense of scale here of some of these works. Very long sort of narrative epic paintings behind telling a story, reading from left to right, this expanse of an experience that you can really just walk through and just slowly start to pick out different things, different shapes, different objects that are embedded into that composition. And so let's walk over to this last piece here. And then I'll hop back over to my desk and we'll take a closer look and jump in with some of the artists with us here tonight. So this piece, talking about Jeff's work, these destructive elements, these cooling elements, the hot, the cold, the barriers to access these locations, the imminent destruction that is creeping towards the cooling waters, these man-made objects that are existing in the water, the road signs that are telling us things that we can and can't do, these limitations, these boundaries, these directions, directives that are influencing and or reiterating things that are possible, things that are not possible. So we'll touch back on some of these themes, but it's important to think about with Jeff's work, really take some time and see what inflections are you picking up while experiencing this work. There's a lot of different connections that we can make as humans and as individuals, and feelings that we associate with, and things reminiscent of parking barriers or bumpers, and you know, these very industrial elements that mean certain things to us in certain contexts. But when you take those out into another context and start to compare and contrast them, where that leads you. So let's go ahead, and I'll jump back over to my desk, and I'll join you on the other side. We'll go back into the computer virtual, and I'll see you in just a minute, okay? Be right back.
Hi, Carol.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm back. Oh, we're running a TV studio over here. So I got to give you a little walkthrough of the exhibit there. And give me just a second here. I'm going to find my mouse and mute that camera. There we go. All right. So we got to take a look through the gallery. Obviously, Erica is giving you a little walkthrough of some of the other angles throughout the gallery space. It really is a beautiful show. For those of you that are local, I encourage you to come on out and take a look. We'll also, later next week, I'll take some installation shots, nice quality photographs that we'll put up on our website, so you can take a walk through virtually as well. And so let's hear from some of our artists with us tonight. And give me just a minute here. I'll get some of my images lined up. But I do just really want to thank both Chris and Julie, who were able to be here tonight, and Jeff as well, for sharing this work with the Alliance and our community as a whole. It really means a lot. The people who have been able to come through the gallery just so far have really been taken aback by this work and really spending some time with it. So it is a great exhibit, and altogether a great show. So just want to thank the artists who sharing it with us, and also want to thank Erica, who's behind the camera here, and she's doing another little walkthrough with the work. And she also helped hang a lot of this work, touch up walls, get these giant paintings lifted up, and measuring out the space. So just big thanks to her as well. She was also there assisting artists unloading the work from their cars. So all right, let's see here. I'll jump back over and unspotlight that. So feel free to jump in as you like. We can unmute yourself if you have questions for the artist, but I'd like to just open up the floor and let some of the artists just talk a little bit about, I sort of touched on some of the themes, right, that you're working with in your work. And I just want to just sort of give you the opportunity just to talk a little bit more, maybe reveal a little stories behind some of the series of the works as well. And first of all, I guess we'll start, I just can't wait. I want to hear from Julia a little bit more about the process of creation of those. But I'd also like to just hear a little bit about sort of your process as an artist, Julie, how you sort of evolved into this aesthetic, into this movement. And I mean, we talked a lot about nature and appreciation for nature. So I'd just like to sort of give you the chance to sort of elaborate on that for us. Oh, I gotta unmute you. Sorry. Or you got it there. So it happens every time, right? You jump in there.
Okay, I started doing some stained glass maybe like 15 years ago for window and doors, and I really like working with the glass, but it's different when you fuse the glass that you can melt it and move it. And so I start with 2-dimension, like everybody's doing, you know, and then I start dreaming of something else, something more. So I start my jellyfish collection. That's what I call them, the jellyfish. And as you can see on my top wall, I tried a bunch of them before I got what I was looking for. I made some mold because inside the kiln, you have to put all the glass on top. Then I make a mold. Then the glass go through the mold and then form the legs. Then I can separate the mold and you get the jellyfish in one piece. So I have some fun with it. And the movement, I wanted to look, I didn't want to have straight leg. I wanted to have some movement to it, but it wasn't easy.
Now, do you have to stop that melting at a certain point to get it to freeze the way you want it?
Yes, I have a small window on the side of my kiln. So after the first 8 hours, the glass is just getting warm. Then after that, it's gonna come like honey, the honey texture. So it's gonna stop dripping. So when I like the way it's looking, I just stop the kiln and it's gonna freeze the way I stop it. So I have to be there to look at it and decide, you know, when I want it to stop or keep going. And I play with it. And out of my piece, on top of it, I got a paw print of my dog. So I got a Great Dane, and it's actually the size of her paw, that big. So every single piece is, when you look, do I have it on the right? Yeah. You can see the paw that I put on top of each of my pieces. So I bring my dog into it to make it more natural and more organic, and I like to add a little bit something to it.
That's great. And how did you come into working with glass and to start? So Julie's from Sarasota. She lives in Sarasota. You're originally French Canadian?
Yeah, I'm from Quebec, Canada.
Quebec. And had you worked with the medium before coming down to Florida, or?
No, I started here in Florida.
Great.
One of my friends was doing some jewelry. So I start looking at it. I'm like, no, I need to do something bigger and more. And so she got me into it. Then I start, you know, get my first kiln, small one, get a bigger one. So as it goes, it's more and more. I love it. I just love working with this. I'm not good at painting, so I have to play with glass. I love all the painting in the show right now, but it's not my fault.
Well, I just can't say enough how much your work sort of feeds into and off of theirs as well. I mean, it's amazing what happens when you get, you know, a 2 or 3 person show, and once you get the sculptor in there, I mean, it just changes everything.
Yeah.
And it really makes it work. I think your work was a brilliant bridge between those 2-dimensional mediums and bringing it out into life and creating something that's luminosity and great interest. And
Thanks. And I love those boxes too with the light underneath. I think it's perfect.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other questions for Julie that we can concerning her work or some of the other process or subject? Or oh yeah, Carol.
I just wondered if she had gone to, if Julie, you'd gone to Hilchuk or any of the other glass schools in your background?
No, I didn't take any class. I'm just self-taught, and I'm just trying and making mistake and trying again and keep on going.
It's amazing. And the cold work is pretty delicate work, right?
Some of them are, yes. Depends, you know, how thick I wanted to do the legs. Some legs are very bigger and can hold a little bit more weight, but some of it are very delicate, yes.
Yeah, right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, some of them, we're so thin. It was a preparators. Erica got very good experience with art handling,
Right. Right.
white gloves and slow movements. So we touched up all the pedestals and
Yeah.
it's like, yep, this is the life of the preparator, anxiety. So that's how you know when you're doing it right, when you're just.
It's glass, so you have to be careful.
Great, thanks, Julie. All right, let's, I'll hand it over to you, Chris. And tell us a little bit about, because you've got a few different works in here, and share a little bit about, some of the things behind them, if you would, and a little bit about your process too.
Okay. I think flowers and things I've always done, and even when I got into abstract work, I was always leaning more towards organic. And I guess I grew up, the house I grew up in, when we bought it, we had great big gardens because the people before us had really loved gardening. So when I was a little kid, we always had all these beautiful flowers. And unfortunately, we weren't gardeners. So after a few years, we didn't have much of a garden. But what I remember as a little kid was just big armfuls of peonies and iris and gladiolas and daffodils. And so anyway, that's kind of, I think, where my interest in organic forms comes from. Geometrics were kind of funny. As I started painting more, I started reading a lot and going to a lot of museums and getting a lot of art books. And I read a big book on Diebenkorn, and I really loved all of his geometrics, like the Ocean Park series and stuff like that. And I thought, well, that would be cool to try. So I got a canvas and some rollers, and I drew a bunch of lines and did this geometric composition. And I just sort of sat there and looked at it, and I could not figure out what to do with it at all. I was just so completely bored. I put the canvas away, and for 2 years, and never did any, went back to my organic things. And then one day I found this sort of half-started canvas, and it always bugs me to have things that are unfinished. And I thought, well, I really should do something with this. So I started filling in the area, and I got really into it. And so for the next 2 years, all I did was paint geometrics, which was really, really funny. And I had a great time with it. And so I think it's a lot of fun to go off on different pathways as an artist. And then when I came back to doing more organic things, I'll still put sort of geometric approaches in to my paintings here and there. So that's kind of how they got it. And then this particular series, most of them I did from, actually the geometric ones I did from a photograph, which I very rarely use photographs, but I had a single photograph and all of the geometrics came from the same photograph. But I would draw in the lines from the photograph, and then on one I'd put in this line and another one I'd put in that line. And so they came out very, very different, but the origin of them was all from the same photograph. And so that was it was a lot of fun to just play with the whole series. So I don't know, does anybody have any questions about anything specific? And
I think it's interesting that they're all from the same photograph.
yeah, it's kind of, it was easier than going and finding another photograph. Yes.
It's a good lesson in variation.
Right, exactly.
Because you don't pick that up. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Carol,
I appreciate your tolerance for ambiguity and your spontaneity, and as you develop your images. I've watched you work just very briefly, but the work itself speaks of that process and how much you trust that process, which I think is really important.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, you have to be, really. I think when I'm painting, a word that comes up a lot is reckless, being reckless, and I sort of create situations that I don't always know how I'll get out of them or how I'll resolve them, I guess
Right.
is a better way to say it. So, but that's what makes painting interesting for me, you know.
Mhm, mhm.
And I'll try things that, like when I was painting in a large group studio, we'd have there were about 30 of us in the studio, and we'd have one table, and two artists would share a table. So my painting partner had a completely different palette than I did. She had, I tend towards blues and pinks and reds and stuff, and she did oranges and blacks and yellows and weird green, brown things, colors I really hated. But at the end of the day, she would always leave earlier than I did, and she'd always have all these colors left on her palette. And she'd say, do you want some of these paints, or should I throw them away? And I'm like, oh, sure, I'll try them. So after she left, I'd take her paints and I'd start a new painting on them, and using her colors. And it would kind of stretch a little bit because we're all these horrible colors that I wouldn't normally use. But eventually I'd cover them over with my colors. But still, it into place that I wouldn't have gone on my own. You know, it's good to have other people around you too sometimes.
It's another good exercise. I like that. Musical palettes.
Right.
Yeah.
I took a workshop once where she had us, I think we divided the painting into two sections, a smaller section and a large section. And then we would paint in the larger section. And then we would stop after 20 minutes and hand the painting to the next person in the group. And so that everybody got somebody else's painting. And then you would paint on the smaller section of that the other person's painting, and then give it back to them after half an hour. And so that was a lot of fun too. And again, it's a different way to just shake
it up.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let me pull up some of these detail shots here. Erica was walking through the gallery if you had on the group view, but let me see if I can I'll do a little share screen here. I want to show some of each of yours and Julie's work again, some detailed shots. And then I want to talk, I'll just close this off with a little bit about Jeff's too, and then we'll again keep the floor open here at any time. So here's a detail of one of your geometric works, and that's some of that texture talking about. That's just I really enjoy, and it again shows that push and pull of the surfaces and the evolution of the image scratching through some of the paint. Yeah, and I can definitely see some of the Diebenkorn-esque, you know, the colors, the color harmonies are interesting too. They're offbeat choices as well. You know, they work, but you can see you're consciously throwing things in there to see what happens, glazing things down, pulling things back, and throwing a lot of sticks in the wheels, I like to call it. When I paint myself, I say, what can I make go wrong here and try and fix? That's when some interesting things can happen. I like to not.
Yeah.
For those of us that don't like to have too much control, like to give up a little control. Let's see here. And then this one in particular, I just love the light that you emanate from the forms, and the way that, I mean, this is another one that you can just see it evolve and grow out of the background. The rhythmic qualities to it as well, that so much hidden in there, and layer upon layer, and again, unexpected color harmonies and different tonalities within each one of those the spectrum, using different unexpected yellows and pinks and fuchsias and greens together to unify very well.
Yeah, that one, some paintings go fairly quickly, and then some are just a real struggle. And that's one of the ones that probably took me about 3 years. I would just come back to it, and I could never quite get it, but I think I finally got it to a space where I'm happy with it now. So, but it just seemed to go on and on and on.
And then when I was putting a label or doing some touch up or something on the wall, I was walking around it, and then there's a lot of some hidden, the opalescent, or that refractive paint that's in there.
Yeah.
And I like how you did. It's just very subtle, understated, and you're just like, oh, it sort of catches you by surprise. It's not about using that, interesting paint. I think you can see it up there, just barely on the top, but sneaks in there on you. It's a nice little surprise.
Yeah, that was another thing that happened. Put unexpected things into my painting was when I moved, and it was a strange situation. The realtor came in and they wanted to sell your house. They grab everything and put it in storage so they can stage the house. And I wasn't too worried because I knew I'd just come get a new house in a month or so. Except that then I ended up building a house. And so for 8 months, I suddenly didn't have any paints or any brushes or anything. And so then while I was renting, I found a room to paint in, but I didn't have any paint. So I went on eBay and I bought big lots of paints. And again, I got all these weird colors like that opalescent and, metallics and things that I would normally never use. And then I thought, well, somebody's using these or they wouldn't be making them, I guess. So anyway, I've been playing around with those too, whereas I never would have said, oh, I'd really like to do this and go out and buy those paints, but I ended up with them. So I'm like, okay, I'll with these, so.
And then I'm gonna, close that one. I'm gonna open up this one here. And I just want to share a little bit of Jeff's work. It's unfortunate he wasn't able to be here. I've known Jeff a long time, and we both teach as adjunct faculty out at Florida Gulf Coast University. He was there. He's been there a number of years, and I've gotten to know his work well. So it's really nice to see all of it together here in the gallery like this. So. Some of this work, it's all massive, but what I was touching on, some of his themes, and I'll just read this artist statement. I'll keep it short, but I think it's important, and it's kind of nice to get that take, because he starts off by saying he used to hike and backpack, exploring paths with wondrous, unexpected natural beauty. My journeys and excursions these days have now become dutifully transformed and are relegated to fixed destinations, which I'm sure we all grow aware of as time goes on. I could argue these destinations are advantages for growth, for opportunities of being and becoming within our context of just being a citizen, or through life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and the overall spirit which this may lead. Nonetheless, in the midst of these travels, I cannot help feeling I am in a state of queue, waiting somewhere in the middle of nowhere. As such, during this moment of waiting, among other ideas, I begin to ruminate upon my life perceptions while investigating my surroundings that are curiously stationed with peculiar infrastructures. And it goes on, he talks about, some of these, I think an important part is some of the cerebral elements of this work, which it's not, from first glance, it's an observation, right? It's a looking glass into an experience, but it's also fraught with struggle and difficulty as such as life. And, you know, creating a picture of this scale, this magnitude, and inviting the viewer to be sort of confined to this space is an interesting predicament. I mean, he talks a lot about, you know, he touched on the context of being a citizen, right? Of we're sort of entrapped in these infrastructures. We're as citizens and in a global society or in any economy or a country that you know, we have these parts and these roles, and we fill these roles with certain expected things of us. And he talks a lot about interpersonal and intrapersonal dynamics, the way that you know, his experiences, his perceptions, where these visual elements collectively convey the sense of the human experience. So I just think it's a powerful thing that starts off subtle and then keeps building and building. And I just wanted to share that with you on his behalf. And I know he's you know, sad to not be here with us tonight, but just wanted to give you another little window into his work and into his mind, and an interesting individual, and you know, that I think together with your work, Julie and Chris, that just really makes for an interesting show to see three very different approaches at coming at making work, through scale, through size, through process, through sense of self-discovery, and to see sort of how those talk to each other. You know, they can exist in the same room, and they can have a conversation, and they can really reinforce each other. So does anybody have anything else to add, or questions for Chris or Julie? I don't want to keep you here tonight. I really appreciate you all coming out. Marilyn or Sue?
I had a question.
Sue, right?
Yeah, my name is Sue.
Change
Sue
back.
Dunlap.
Okay.
I know. Yeah, I really enjoyed all of it. Julie, the delicacy of those legs, oh my goodness. And, you know, supporting what is above them, that's just amazing. And you put it on a light box, is that right? So the light came up through it?
Yes.
Is that how it was displayed?
It's displayed. The box are made either of granite or marble, and then I put a light inside, and the top it's a piece of plexiglass, so the light can go through and make
Right.
all the legs. You can see all the
Right.
different color in it, and
That really brought it to life.
yes,
And
exactly.
And Chris, I love the floral one you did. It looked like it was sort of underwater, and that was a nice tie-in.
Oh, that's neat.
That was really
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, I like that.
Thank you.
And then I wonder if you know if what Jeff used for paper. I know pastels were part of what he listed as his medium, and for that you usually use a rough, you know, sanded paper. I just wondered, because he's got such a mixture of media, what he used for that paper.
Yeah, let me pull an image up here for you. I think it'll show you a little example. See if I can zoom in on this. And it is a rough toothed paper. It's a cold press. And there you can see that texture.
Mhm.
And I think that's really, I mean, for those of us that work on paper, I mean, there really is nothing like paper that have that tooth on there.
Oh,
And to get that soft, delicate, I mean, if you go down below, the soft little pitter patter of the rocks and the fuzzy, that sort of grainy texture. He also, it seems like I need to talk to him some more, but there are a little bit of collage elements here or there, or he's cutting through some of the paper and maybe adding different textures. There you can see, hold on here. You can see some that Erica's showing on that. So we were examining closely, and there's actual ridges and things that are on the paper. So he's doing some additional manipulation, because there's some very stark, hard edge work that really, that's what, you know, makes them pop out a lot. on
Mhm.
top of some of that softness. So he's playing, you know, with the edge work as well, soft and hard edges. But yeah, it's
Right.
a very thick tooth paper. And yeah, I mean, it must be huge rolls. And we talked a little bit, he builds the large panels. It's all support on sort of, what are they, like door skin, but the maple ply.
Mm,
And then adheres it with a gel medium,
Okay.
and then cuts off the edges.
Right. I use sanded paper for pastel work, and so I'm familiar with that. Has a shine to it though, too.
Yeah, he's throwing everything at it. So he's doing the oil and the acrylic on top as well.
Okay. Amazing. Great.
So if you get the chance, come on out, take a look at the exhibit. I'll get some pictures up. I'll send you all some links to be able to view some pictures online as well. And on behalf of the Alliance for the Arts and us down here in Fort Myers, we thank you all for coming out, and we'll get this video up on YouTube as well, so you can share with friends also. Okay.
Erin,
Great.
when is the gallery open? Is it all week or is it just certain
We're-
days?
Yeah, we're open Monday through Saturday. The gallery is open for viewing, and it's 9 to 5 during the week, and Saturdays 9 to 1.
Oh, great.
And
Okay.
so on those Saturdays, we'll have the green market outside, local produce, fruits and veggies, and artisans out there selling goods as well. And it's a nice day to come out and take a walk through the Arts Park grounds outside, see the sculptures and installations outside, and make a whole day of it. Have a little picnic on the table. So it's been really great. You know, the shows here, you know, we haven't been doing the physical receptions, but the content has not diminished. And, you know, the people who on Saturdays, we get just a lot of wide variety of traffic coming through the gallery. So it's been really, really nice to see people get to come through and throughout the week and spend really, you know, thoughtful, considerate moments in that space. And
Nice.
it means a lot. So
That's great.
well, let's
Thank you.
give our
Great.
artists a hand and for their amazing work and all that
Yay.
they've done. And congratulations to you both.
Thank
You all for coming out.
Oh, thanks so much. Thanks. That's great.
you.
Look forward to seeing.
Bye.
Good.
All right, everybody take care, and we will see you soon.
It's great to see you. Oh, not Julie. Good to see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, you
Kara.
guys.
Oh, so,
Well, thank you both so much.
okay. Thank you, Erin. That was a lot of fun. That was neat. So good job.
Great. Thank you. It's, again, a pleasure. Love your work so much.
Oh,
Great job.
thank you. Thank you.
Both of you.
You're right. It was interesting to see it all together with always makes it very
When it came in, we were nervous. Chris and I were
Yeah.
talking and trying to figure out how it was gonna pull off, and we did it.
Yeah, I think it works. I really do. I think it works. So
Yeah, Julie's
Anyway.
colors and hers, it just worked out, came together really well.
yeah, it does. So okay. Well,
All right,
thank
you two,
very
take
much.
care. We'll talk to you soon. I'll give you some updates throughout the month, okay?
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye,
All
Julie.
right.
Bye.
Bye, Chris.
Bye.